Welcome to this episode of the Women in AV podcast. I'm your host, Erica Carroll, and we are live here at InfoComm recording today, and joining me is a very special guest, Chrissy Sara. Hello, Chrissy.
Hello.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So we are pretty early on in InfoComm. This is day one, and it is before noon. So first, let's talk about, what are your first impressions so far with InfoComm? What's some stuff you're seeing? And
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is I have to shout out to the Sony booth. We have a killer booth this year. 31 partner solutions being
wow.
Yeah, we have a lot of people supporting the booth, not just Sony staff. We have a lot of support from Tokyo this year. And also I'm representing the service side, so anytime, customers have issues, they can just come to me and say, hey, what's the service process like?
Mm-hmm.
So that's been going really well. I also love getting the chance to go to those partner booths and then seeing what's going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be my trajectory after our episode, is to make my way back to the booth, but visit as many of our partners as possible.
Yeah.
So that's been neat. I also just love the vibe. I feel like there's a lot changing in the industry. One thing that seems to be sticking out the most to me is role structure. So for instance, we have AI coming up in the world. That's changing basically role assignments and role expectations.
I see that. Absolutely.
I had a lot of conversation last night about, competency around the industry, with both manufacturer understanding the market and technicians using the gear and integrators understanding how to install it. It's changing significantly. And it's not that it's less complicated by any means. It's that we have to trust technology more to find that final solution. And that can be a little bit difficult for some people who've been, plugging in ones and zeros for a long time and running cable and doing the labor part of it and transitioning that to now trusting technology. So I'm seeing that everywhere.
Absolutely. Very cool. So I want to go way back to the beginning.
Okay.
You and I have known each other for almost a decade at this point.
Isn't that crazy?
I know.
I love it so much.
I do too. And actually, it's been cool to have this whole network of women camaraderie within the industry. But I don't know that I know your story. How did you get into AV in the first place? What was your path?
Yeah, so the very start of it, the curiosity carrot, as I call it, was growing up. I lived in New York, and my grandpa had always had the news on. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting there playing with my toys, listening constantly to the news. And I, at one point, was very fascinated by the graphics that came on. Back then, moving graphics was a big deal. So
yeah,
the logo would spin and then their name would come up. And I just remember kind of that seed being planted. And then when I got into high school, they were beta testing production classes and camera classes. And I don't even remember the name of the class I took, but I blame that professor for my career because he basically is
all his fault.
Yeah, he basically was kind of the one that started it. And it was taking a big Sony camera with the tape, and I had to go and shoot a music video on a front lawn with the snow, and that was my project for the semester. And so that kind of gave me the itch, I guess. And when I started looking into colleges, being a very visual learner and kinesthetic teacher, I really need someone to give me the time with the gear. I can't learn online. It's just not my deal.
Yeah.
So that was a big component of what college I chose. And I looked around and I found a college that was willing to teach me camera right away. I didn't have to do a bunch of prerequisite classes. And that's where I ended up at Southeastern University in Lakeland, Florida. And I had a camera. I believe it was a Sony X900. I don't remember what it was. So it's funny that Sony just has been around since
keeps
literally
around in your life.
My childhood.
It's very circle, full circle.
So I had this camera on my lap, and the engineer at the time, he was telling me all about the buttons and the stuff, and then I ended up basically just staying in the studio the whole 3 years I was there. So while I was there, I started freelancing, and that was the start of my career. And that was where you learn everything from the 25-pound handheld camera that's sitting on your shoulder to lighting directing to technical directing to producing. I did it all, and it was a lot of fun. The live events freelances kind of was the kickoff into my career.
Okay.
And then I got poached. I don't remember. It was a big screen network gig. They recently got acquired, I believe. And it was, I think it was a Big Ten I was doing something for ESPN in Chicago. I don't remember what it was. And they were like, hey, we need a scoreboard technician for the Medina Ryder Cup. And I was like, the what? A scoreboard technician. And I'm like, okay, sure. 15 days, you know. And at that point, I didn't know what it was. And I signed up for it.
Yeah.
And I felt so guilty about signing up for something I didn't even know what it was that I called the production manager and I was like, just so you know, I have no idea what this is. And she was like, you'll learn it in 5 minutes. It'll be fine. Turns out they just needed a babysitter for the scoreboard that was already built.
Oh, boo.
But what was awesome was, of course, I can't just sit in front of technology and not play with it. So the guy that was teaching me how to monitor the scoreboard worked with me the whole time I was there. And he taught me the system, and I asked all the right questions. And after that gig, he was like, do you want to come work for me in Nashville? And I was like, no, I don't. I had just got a job working news in Rockford. And I was like, I got to go do this thing first, you know. And he ended up pursuing my role. And finally, after 4 months, I caved. I moved from Illinois to Nashville. And that launched me into this pro AV space. And it was a little bit of a silent goodbye to broadcast production, which later I, you know, wish I would have got a chance to do a little bit more in. And broadcast production is one of those things where when you're out, it's really hard to get back in. And so not that I've like necessarily pursued a lot of opportunity, but I just always keep my ear to the ground about what's available.
Sure.
And so pro AV is where I got into the LED installation and product specialization around a company called Click Effects, which now has long been bought by Chiron. And that was where I did a lot of installations into stadiums, various versions, high school all the way up to pro. And it was just a world I thrived in. You know, it was high pressure, high stakes, millions of dollars. You can't mess it up. And if you do, like, you not only just lost this business, but you lost a customer and you lost market share.
Right.
Like with one mistake, right? Because the big leagues, they don't play. So I got to work with a lot of manufacturers in that role. Back then, Mitsubishi had an LED division that was incredible. Panasonic, ANC, Daktronics, Yesco, which is now a Samsung thing. And those manufacturers would respond to RFPs, and our units would be those data video processors that would get sold into those contracts. And that was a lot of fun. So I went from, you know, a tape Sony camera doing production work for freelance to like the big leagues in 4 months. And the cool part was, ever since being in the big leagues, like I don't know how to go backwards into, like, to actually go back into the quote unquote path you're supposed to take or whatever.
Right.
And that was just basically probably we're at the 50% mark of my career so far. And from there, it was traveling all the time. I don't even know why I rented an apartment in Nashville, because I was never there. And I had traveled all over the country, did all this work, really enjoyed the experience. I, you know, befriended a lot of people who now are wonderful women, advocates for women in the industry. And the next role was I needed to stop traveling or reduce traveling.
Slow down a little.
Yeah, like not being gone 3 weeks a month, but maybe like 2. Yeah. And that was where I landed with Analog Way in Georgia. And that was a lot of fun because the part of the role at Click Effects was multi-dimensional. It was video engineer, it was a little bit of design, it was install for sure, and then commissioning, and then teaching the production staff what they just bought. Because there was a huge gap in who actually touched the knobs and pressed the buttons and who bought it.
Of course.
So that was kind of the beginning of my liaison type nature of my reputation, is being able to kind of bridge these huge gaps between people and who are part of the solution.
Right.
And so Analog Way really gave me the opportunity to move more into the teaching side, which I loved. Shout out to Brian and Anjay. Ooh, wow, sorry. Anjay. I feel like I'm saying that wrong. I apologize, my dear. But anyways, the three of us were like the three musketeers at Analog Way, and we built the training academy, and then I took it off from there, and it was just a fantastic experience. And that was my first introduction, believe it or not, to projectors.
Oh.
I had just been doing LED and camera work all the way up until that point, and projectors were not something that was foreign to me, except having been in the big leagues and dealing with all of those bleeding edge technology, especially with video signal. Projectors was just another avenue for that. So I very quickly adopted it
It's easy. Yep.
and
Yeah.
became, friends with it.
Mm-hmm.
I still prefer LED, but, projector has its place.
Yeah.
So I did that for a while. And then, again, the travel thing came up. I was married at the time, and the travel thing came up. And so I ended up moving over to AVixa,
Mm-hmm.
who wanted a staff instructor for their certification program.
Yep.
So I thought, great, I get to move even more into teaching. Like, that'll be really cool. And collaborating with experts in the industry, and we get to sit there and talk about Ohm's Law for 3 hours. Like, it was just so fun.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that part. It was less travel. It was more pointed travel.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't just more of a traveling that was across the
Right.
the nation for no reason per se, or
It was
for
much more intentional.
yeah, intentional is a good
Yeah.
word.
Mhm.
So I really liked that. I think the largest class I had was 25 students, so it was always a very intimate environment.
Yeah.
And it went anywhere from like 3 to 25 at a time.
Yeah.
And the education staff that was at AVixa at the time, they were very helpful in helping me get up to speed on the CTS and CTSI, and I was going to go for the CTSD, but
Yeah.
things happened and COVID happened, so didn't get that far. But
Mm-hmm.
I was starting to teach the CTSI courses. I think I did my first one at the headquarters, and then COVID hit, and then I couldn't do much after that. But I still got a chance to enjoy, the aspects there, and
Yeah.
and then when when COVID hit and jobs changed, I got a call, and I'm very happy I said yes, because I've made some really amazing friends at Sony.
Yeah.
Also, it's just neat to be with the bleeding edge company because you're really in the thick of it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, advocates like Rich Ventura, Todd Hanslick, those guys really prepare you for success, not only in the industry, but at Sony.
Right.
And so I feel very supported there, and I'm happy to be there. I'm excited for our new upcoming year with the JV that's happening. So that's going to be really cool.
So
but yeah.
this was a really long path
Yep.
to get you into Sony. And what are you doing at Sony now? What is your, because we don't take traditional paths to get
No.
anywhere.
Yeah.
And we do pull from pieces of our past histories and our experiences to, propel us forward. So what are you doing now at Sony?
Yeah. So the core of
What hat are you wearing? And I know you're
I mean,
wearing
yeah,
17
which
of
one do
them,
you
so-
want? Like, here's my hat closet. The first thing that comes to mind is I'm naturally, at the end of the day, I go home and I'm a video nerd. I just want to look at Signal and play with it
Yeah.
and do stuff, and I miss that aspect. I miss being able to nerd out. Thankfully, I have some really smart guys that work in service who I can just be like,
Yeah.
hey, can I just be a fly on your wall on your call so I can hear the language and
Yeah.
keep up to date on stuff. So I apparently I'm a video signal purist.
Oh,
Yeah, when you talk
Excellent.
among engineers, that's apparently my gig. So
yeah.
that's foremost where I'm always coming from, and I'm really happy that I've been able to advance in my career and still hold on to that part of my nerd heart. But the role that I had in the beginning part of Sony was sales support engineer. So I was still doing a lot of client-facing work, taking my technology skills to the conversations with the clients and creating solutions for them and pointing them to different parts of the gear that was available. But now I'm actually over in the service division.
Okay.
And the first thing that comes to mind when I think about the service division at Sony is how large of a scope they have to carry. And when you're working with large corporations, especially in a service organization, there's a lot of moving parts. There's teams that are been around for a while. There's teams that are brand new. There's teams that are maybe unaware of necessarily the breadth of what some of these other departments are doing. So there's a lot of internal conversations, missed opportunities to connect and collaborate. And so I lean heavily on my connector part as well. Of, hey, I happen to know this guy over here. He does this over here, and you're having this problem. You should probably talk to him. And
Absolutely.
so something that's really cool to see and experience inside of my role is to see how supportive and collaborative the internal parts of Sony are, and how I get to help bridge those gaps that are missing, which if you remember from the earlier part of my story with the engineers and the stakeholders versus the end users buying these big, solutions, not knowing their left hand from their right hand. And so I've been having this kind of liaison, consulting, process change kind of engineering aspect all the way through my career. So I would say that's the thread. And I think that's what's interesting about careers for women is the thread that they land on. There's women who really enjoy sales and they stick with the sales thread. There's also potentially thought leadership within sales. There's some women that I know in the industry that are in sales that blow my mind with what they can bring to the table, not just in solutions and sales, but in what they're observing from their customers, connecting their customers together with solutions, and then being their own liaison. So their market vertical support is just premium. And so working with the account managers and the national account managers that I get to work with, specifically with the group that's here at InfoComm, that's incredible to see. I get to work with other business units inside of Sony, seeing how that works. So I really do enjoy it a lot. I hope that this type of role can continue to evolve and hopefully be there for years to come. And if not, I can at least step into a role that's very similar to move forward, because I'll never forget and leave that technical heart. But I have a lot of other skill sets that I want to kind of give some wings to and see where that can take me.
I feel that.
Yeah.
So you and I have been in the industry for a while at this point, and I think when I first entered the industry, which it was funny, you mentioned your affinity for LED walls over projectors. I came in projectors, so
cool.
I have an affinity for projection over LED walls.
I love it. We can still be friends.
We can still be friends. But it's because I got to work on like really freaking cool projects when I first came into the industry, like projection mapping onto pyramids and stuff like that, right? Things that like can suck you in immediately. Anyways, so at that time when I first entered the industry, I was very much seeking out mentorship, and like the Avixa Women's Council was still like spinning up, and it took, I felt like it took forever for it to, multiple years for it to actually get started when I was searching for that sort of mentorship and that community and where I fit, because I was also in a very technical role on the applications engineering team at Digital Projection, and there weren't other technical women around me ever. So now later in my career, I do look at mentorship a little bit differently and how I can impart my experiences on other people. How has that shift happened for you in your career? At this point, moving forward, we're probably more in the mentor position than we are in the mentee position.
Man, I wish we had more time to really get into this topic. It's interesting that you say that, because I came from a background in the industry where I was just very much kind of like a gritty cowgirl. Like I just got in there and did it, and whatever happened, happened. And, the goal was to get the job done. I never saw myself out like separate from the male engineers. It was pointed out to me several times, and I still was just like, we're just here to do a job. Like, everybody calm down. But I attribute the success of me being able to go in the industry with that first impression of the industry of just, it's going to be super fun, let's go, to the other women who have laid the groundwork over the last 30 years in the AV industry. I mean, they don't even understand that the ripple effect that they have had in creating the path for me. And so, I mean, I bow to them and thank them. And so having that freedom to be in a room with a bunch of male colleagues, and even though I still had to deal with the politics of that, I at least was in the room. So thank you to the women who've given me that opportunity. And then moving forward, it's not that I didn't seek out mentorship, it was just never readily available.
Right.
The first woman who I gave credit to for being someone who I looked up to was Mary Cook. I had not heard about her. We went for the same job at Analog Way. I had heard her name in the office, and I was like, who is this gal? Like, who has the same caliber as me?
Right.
Let's go find out. Turns out her caliber was like 50 degrees higher, and I was like, her and I need to talk. And it's her and I never actually got to sit down and have a conversation, but her influence in the industry is what kept me going.
I agree.
I was like, if her face is on this publication, if she's talking on this podcast,
you gotta look at this.
Oh,
absolutely.
It was just amazing. And I'm sad I never actually got to shake her hand, but that's an example of how I kind of subtly took mentorship from women who she didn't even know my name, and then now what you're saying about being in that mentor role, it's hard for me to like talk a lot about what I really enjoy. So I appreciate this platform, because I feel like it's a safe place to be like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
have done a lot, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't like to boast or be that person
course.
who's, look at me at all. I'd rather look at product or look at other, like specifically engineers, like the guys that
Right.
build the booth. I mean, they are why we're here.
Yeah.
So I would say that the mentorship part, I hope that by the time I'm at the retirement point that I could have even just an ounce of Mary Cook's influence on a gal that's in the industry.
Yeah.
And I might never meet her, but she's here because she saw a podcast that I did, or she's here because she saw my face on a publication. And that's how I hope to keep that going.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. And Mary Cook was a huge influence on me too. She
Oh.
lived in Atlanta in that area, and I got to know her when we started up our local leaders group for the Women's Council in Atlanta. And I want to say I actually only sat down and talked to her maybe twice ever. But every time I saw her on the show floor, it was always big hugs. And
Oh, it's just awesome.
her birthday was actually last week, and it popped up in my calendar. I'm going to cry. Because
It's okay. It's okay to cry.
she was such a huge influence.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like I said, I never got to meet her. So she
Yeah.
doesn't even know,
Yeah.
And I just really loved that I just never felt like she looked down on other women.
No.
That's there.
She was always so inclusive of everybody, no
Right.
matter what stage you were at, and always wanted to lift everybody up.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. I find it interesting too, being in the position that I'm in, the career that I have had. I really love it when humble, secure leaders, male leaders, knock on my door and say, "Hey, I'd love to talk to you about this issue we're having,
Yeah.
with this group of people." And a lot of times it's about, male colleagues who are not understanding how to communicate or connect to female colleagues, and I can paint them a very real picture of what's going on, and then we can take steps forward.
Absolutely.
It's just, that's all it is. I mean, it's just a cultural shift, and that's part of what I really hope to get into in the next part of my career, is just helping companies and teams realize that there is a solution for internal success.
Yeah.
And also, if you're looking at, you're not being able to meet certain KPIs or certain goals within the company internally, it's probably because there's a shift or a rift that you don't even know about. And so it's getting in there, doing that needs analysis, and finding out, what we can do to make the team stronger, and specifically team with women.
Absolutely. Okay, so I want to get away from work for
Okay.
just a minute. What are you passionate about?
Oh, bringing color to a gray world. That's my motto.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have color all over my face. My hair is usually one of those conversation starters. My original passion before I got into career life was photography.
Okay.
And I realized that you could play with those filters and, bring a different perspective to the same image.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times people will have maybe even get stuck in their career or stuck in their mindsets about how life is and should be, and this is why it is. And I hope to bring a whole wallet full of ND filters to be like, hey, you could look at this whole thing significantly different.
Yeah.
I've experienced a lot in my life so far up to this point. I feel like I've lived a whole life already, and I still got another, 90 years left,
Yeah.
80 years. I don't know when I'm going to die. Well, no, we never know. But by then, I want to say that I lived my life fully, and everything that I do is to the best of my ability, and I hope that that's reflected.
Yeah.
I also want to bring balance. Like, I think people get really uncomfortable with different emotional attachments to traumas that they had in their life, and I hope that anytime that they see me, that they see someone who's taken what she's been through and made the absolute best part of it, because that's an opportunity to do. I could sit back and leave. I mean, people talk about traumas that happen in the industry. Occupational trauma is a real thing. I think that there's a lot of conversation that could be had in that.
Yeah.
So bringing color to a gray world, a dark world, I'm a light for a reason, and I'm going to keep, if you don't have haters, you're not doing something right,
Yeah.
But a lot of times I want to sit down and talk to those people that look at me and get a little uncomfortable. Like, man, she's really strutting her stuff. Like, how does she have this much confidence? Well, let's sit down and talk about it. Like, where's your confidence? Let's find out where that is, you know?
So I've been honing in on that more. I call it the zone of genius, and I really want to lift people up in their zone of genius. And some people don't feel like they have whatever that is. They're like, oh, well, I dabble in this. Well, I really like this. Or, it's that conversation about figuring out what is the thing that you actually do know way more and have more experience, and for whatever reason somebody has told you that you don't, or that you're not good enough or whatever, and you don't feel that confidence. But how can you lift people up in their own zone of genius?
I think one of the key elements, especially for being women in the industry and just women in general, is giving yourself the permission to find out.
Yeah.
I feel like we're told from a very young age how we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to look. I've never fit in any mold anybody's ever tried to put me in.
Right.
It's not an intention. It's just a natural aspect of my personality. And it's been a long journey over the years to give myself permission to be. And that happens to have landed me in the career that I have right now.
Yeah.
And if I'm not doing that, then I'm in the wrong career.
So I know you are like me and a lifelong learner. What is something you have learned or read recently that is worth sharing?
Well, there's like 45 topics I could bring up. I think the biggest one is the ability to push into how your mind works. There's a lot of psychological theory that's out there. I study industrial organizational psychology on the side.
For funsies.
And it's really amazing to see what team dynamic. You have a room full of people, and each person has a different story, and they're in different paths of their journey, and having to understand where they're coming from in order to have a conversation. And a lot of times by the time you get all these people in the room, the conversation's not even about what you meant to talk about, because you're really getting down to the seen part. I feel like when people are seen, they work harder, work better, work stronger. And the key thing about balancing productive teams is giving them a chance to be seen. And the key with that is leadership has to understand how the human mind works. And you're like, oh yeah, okay, well I've got this role here, this director position, I'm climbing the ladder, right? Whoever those people are that are moving towards that C-suite, if you're not paying attention to how the mind is working, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about who you know, it's about how you know them.
Yeah.
And so I'm really interested to continue learning about that. And there's a new psychological theory that I just uncovered called internal family systems.
Okay.
And it's a psychological theory that's based on going into and learning all of the different parts that are around your mind, and how your mind works. I've learned a lot about myself, and I've learned a lot about how they utilize that type of theory to look into social groups. So I like to say I'm like a perspective anthropologist. Like I like to see how everybody else is thinking about that way that people are operating and thinking.
That's fascinating.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I know we could probably talk for hours.
Oh, we're at time already?
Yeah,
we just start?
I know, we just started. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. I've pretty much killed all other social media because it's all distraction, but I'm on LinkedIn. I'll be there for as long as they allow me to be on there. And please connect. Let's talk about all kinds of things. I'm all for the topics.
Yeah.
I also love to stay connected with engineers. I need to find a way. I'm going to challenge myself here on this podcast. I need to find a way how to connect with women who are up and coming in the industry, and who are ready for the conversations that come up. It's a different world out there coming into this industry than it was 17 years ago.
That's an excellent challenge. So I would challenge even our audience and our listeners to reach out to you, because even today, just standing here in the booth while we were waiting, I've had multiple people come up to me and go, oh, you know what? I have this new girl on this team and I would love them to meet you. I'm like, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me.
That. Absolutely.
This is wonderful.
Yeah. We got to do this again.
Yes, please.
So thank you again to Chrissy for joining us and sharing her amazing story in AV. You can find me at theericacarroll.com. And if you are watching this on YouTube, go and find it at your favorite podcast provider. And if you're listening to this, please go and watch it on YouTube. And also check out our other live episodes from InfoComm, like our friends over at the Higher Ed AV podcast. All of this on avnation.tv.